on. Another big game is Ohio State, Penn State. I would imagine it is huge for James Franklin to win a game like that. He hasn't done many of them. We'll get back to that in a second. Real quick before we go to the calls, I want to ask you about what happens if they have another bad effort on offense. They lose, they fall to 2-6, and there are even more questions about this offense. Do you think the Steelers, and I say this only because Mike Tomlin today, or this week, Tuesday, on his press conference, said it this way when asked about changes to offense. He said, no, I'm not there yet. The yet is a big word for me. That indicates there is some thought. Would it happen? And if so, how would it look like?
Aditi Kinkhabwala was on the PM team today with us, and our last question, our parting shot with her was exactly what you just set up, Bob. If the Steelers get blown out and the offense only gets about 10 points, do you think they would make a change at offensive coordinator? And there was a long pause, and there was a lot of hesitation. Aditi talks to a lot of players on this team. She ultimately said yes and said, this isn't maybe your grandfather's Steelers anymore. I don't know necessarily if they would fully cut bait with Matt Canada. I get frustrated that they seem to like to let these guys have their contracts run out because they don't want to pay anybody not to work. But I think you could absolutely, it's very much within the realm of possibility that if they have another stinkeroo of a performance, Bob, that they end up quietly switching his duties to Mike Sullivan. And I'll add this before we get to the calls because I know we got people waiting. I think it matters, too, why the offense stalls out if it happens that way. If it's the same uninventive play calling, plays that have no hope that are going nowhere, that looks a lot worse for Matt Canada than Kenny Pickett makes a couple more bad rookie decisions. There's a throw there, but he doesn't make it. It's much more about how predictable and how easy to stop does their offense look.
I tend to agree with your second point there about I do think if they do it, it would be in a way that they wouldn't even admit they're doing it, just shift some play calling duties. Now, you may have to put Mike Sullivan in the booth. That would be an indication. But it's something that if it happens, I think that's the way it would happen until the end of the season. Let's go to the lines. We got a lot of them want to talk. Jim in Scott Township, bottom of the list there, but you're first on our list. Jim, go ahead.
Hey, Bob, how you doing? Hi, Chris. You know what, Bob? The Steelers never beat Philly in Philadelphia yet, so that's going to remain the same. And what's wrong with the Penguins? How come he don't put Smith in?
The Smith played last night and he gave up 4 goals, although it wasn't his fault. So he was in, and quite frankly, they fell apart in the first period. Then they responded, and it was a reversal of what happened in Edmonton. Anyway, it's too early to talk about that. We'll see about, again, I go into the 10.5 points. I'm a point guy. I'll take points in this situation. Let's move along here, Chris. We got Josiah. Haven't heard from you in a while down in San Antonio. What's up, Josiah?
Hey, Bob. Hey, Chris. I got to get this off my chest real quick. Our offense blows. I mean, every week it's the same thing over and over. Behind the sticks, throwing it to Deontay Johnson, or even if going to the flat to Najee Harris, he's getting swallowed up by 2 and 3 defenders. Our play calling is so predictable. And by the way, Bob, I don't think Sullivan is the answer. I wish Tom would quit hiring homeboys within the
But I'm saying Josiah, within the course of this framework, they're not going to bring anyone in from the outside right now. I don't know who's even available. To me, it would be a shift in who's. You know what I'm saying? They would make a change at the end of the season when that time comes. But in the meantime, I don't see them going and bringing someone in from the outside and changing playbooks. It's tough enough on Kenny Pickett, I think, as a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to just say fire Matt Canada and actually show him his walking papers and pay him not to be here so you just don't have that awkward situation. One thing I'll say, too, whoever the new offensive coordinator is, if it gets to that point, because we're already all sort of preemptively firing Canada, I don't think Mike Tomlin should be allowed to make the hire because I don't think he's shown enough of a not working knowledge, basically, of who's a good coordinator out there and whose system might work well with this team. I mean, I still don't know what he saw in Canada. Josiah's original point there is right, and a lot of people smarter than I am, guys who cut tape for a living, who are really good at it, who have played in the league, who are elite analysts at the highest national level, Bob, they've all said basically the same thing. This is an almost embarrassingly predictable offense. Take away all this window dressing Canada wants to bring, and it's about, I think Dan Orlovsky said they basically run 10 plays, and that's about it. Well, the Los Angeles Rams have run 10 plays in the past. People would say that about McVay. Here's the difference. Every one of those 10 was really good. All 10 of Matt Canada's stink.
And then you have people, even in their own locker room, you heard Chase Claypool pretty much said, hey, we need more go balls, even though they do have a lot of go balls.
They throw the most in the league. They're just terrible at it.
But my point was he was critical, but then he said, but it's not about play calling. Well, yes, it is. If you're if you're questioning it, any of it, then you're questioning, and that's fine, except you can't say it's not about the play calling. Let's go to Dave in the north side. Dave, welcome to the show. How are you? Dave.
Playing the offense, because every time we win the toss, our defense stinks right now. We got to get the offense working if you're going to do that.
Well, I think the defense has actually been better the last 2 weeks, especially against Tampa with a bunch of names you never recognized.
Hold on, was he saying that they should take the ball when they win the toss? Let me just tell you.
I didn't hear that part of it. Did
I
he
think
say
that's
that?
what he was inferring based on what he said. Nobody in the NFL takes the ball anymore. Like, I would bet you the deferral rate on winning the coin toss to the second half is well over 90%, and that's just a guess.
With good reason. I think
that's the smart play.
That's what you want to do.
Also, the defense was great against the Dolphins for the last 45 minutes of that football game.
Yeah, I don't like how they started, but I mean they did adapt and they made it difficult and quite frankly made life miserable for Tua Tagovailoa. If guys could catch the football, he would have had a stat line that would be one of the worst, obviously in his career.
Picks.
Yeah, 4 picks.
He'd had 4 picks. They should have only given up 13. Tomlin's butchering of the clock at the 2-minute warning in the first half basically gift-wrapped 3 points for the Dolphins.
All right, let's go to John in Kennedy Township who joins us right now. John, what's up?
Hi. You know, what concerns me about the Steelers is I watched a lot of pro games this weekend, and everybody is throwing the ball over the middle of the field except the Steelers. Mm-hmm. The only one that gets a throw over the middle of the field is Freiermuth. And I really think that that's hurting the running game also.
I think everything like that is accurate. You don't see wide receivers doing slants in the middle, and if so, I think Kenny Pickett's more than capable of putting it right on the money so they get extra yards, yak yards. But you don't see that at all. And you saw what Miami did early. The reason they fell behind by 13, Chris, is because they exploited the middle of the Steelers defense.
They were running deep ends. If you're looking from behind Tagovailoa on some of those plays, it looks like he's running 7-on-7s. 2 quick things. When they throw to Freiermuth, it just looks so difficult, too. Everything they even get, the 4th down play late in the game was just a perfect throw and catch right there. It's never easy looking. Here's the other thing. Matt Canada might say, hey, Kenny, when he doesn't throw it, over 12 yards, he's 28 of 31 for a touchdown in this game. So I want to throw short and I want to throw outside. That's not the way to do business in the NFL. Teams start to pounce on that. And I think it's an indictment on Canada that he isn't inventive enough, Bob, to figure out ways to open the middle of the field.
John in Cranberry joins us now. Hey, John, make it quick, please. We're up against the break.
Hey, yeah, Chris and Bob, thanks for taking my call. I'll be quick comment and good question. The Phil Kessel, congratulations to him, the Iron Man, 990 straight games.
Impressive. Yep.
And, Mike, I was going to talk Pitt football, but you guys covered that. So I'm going to talk about World Series. Who do you guys like in the World Series and for what reasons, either Houston or Philadelphia? Thanks for taking my call.
Okay, well, Philadelphia's on. I'll go there. They're on a roll right now, and they've got Zach Wheeler pitching out of his mind, which is good. They have some clutch. I just think Houston is too talented. I think Houston has everything you would want in a team, and I think Dusty Baker is going to win a championship. Chris?
I will go 10 seconds here. Phil Kessel, it shows what you can do when you take care of your body like an Adonis, that you can have a streak like that. As for the World Series, my heart says Phillies in 2. My brain says Astros in 4. I hate the Astros. They're loathsome. Their fans are loathsome, but they have more pitching than you can shake a stick at. And that's what matters.
They really do. And listen, I understand what you said about Kessel. He shies away from contact, but you got to admit, 13 straight years of not missing a game in a rough sport like hockey, even if he's not engaged in a physical
The only
part
people
of it.
that hate Phil Kessel are whiny hockey writers in Canada who want to make themselves the center of the story. That tells you all you need to know.
We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this on Pittsburgh CW.